this week on What's the Remedy podcast.
All right, what's up? Welcome back. This is What's the Remedy podcast. It's your boy, Dr. J.
Mr. Wash.
Ashley Ray.
And we have another guest in the building.
Yes.
Ahead, Wash.
Yeah, we have Miss Mia Mix in the building of the
Everybody.
of the Marshas Plate podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's a pleasure to have you today and stuff. So we just want to go into, like I say, a little bit about yourself and about Marshas Plate.
Okay. So a little bit about me. I am a trans activist. I was born in Germany, so I'm a military brat. Both my parents served in the Army. I transitioned when I was 16, so it's been a really long run. I decided to become a part of Marshas Plate so that I could continue advocating for transgender rights and people who don't really have a voice, because I feel like there should be somebody speaking for those who are afraid to speak. So I started with that, and then I also go to different events like BTAC. BTAC is the Black Trans Advocacy Conference, and so that's held in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So allies can come. So you don't have to be trans in order to come, but they have a lot of things that teach you about being an ally and advocating for your rights, and just a lot of things about diversity that you wouldn't normally see. So I got my degree in business office administration when I came back from Atlanta.
Okay.
Because I had to leave Atlanta. It was just too much fun, y'all.
What's wrong with the A?
What was wrong with it is I couldn't concentrate.
Oh, that's okay. I can
Baby,
see that too.
listen.
Like, I was like, oh, I could go to school down here. I'm already having trouble.
Yes. I had so much fun, though. But that's a little bit about me. As far as my podcast, we just try to bring awareness to the community and to the world to let people know, hey, you know, there's other people that are different, and if you see other people and you know about them, and if you are educated about them, then it will heal the ignorance that you have for them, because a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know. You don't know anything about this person or how this person lives his life. However, you have all these judgments that have been passed down to you from, I don't know, generations, or from your family or whoever.
Yeah, friends,
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah.
So, like, say on Marshas Plate, like, what are some of the topics that y'all talk about? As well as, I know it's three of y'all, so give your co-host some shine too.
Oh, of course. So it's me, my boyfriend Zaire, who is a trans man, and another co-host who is also trans. Her name is Diamond Styles, and you can find her on YouTube, Twitter, by Diamond Styles, D-I-M-O-N-D. No, wait, I spelled that completely wrong. D-I-A-M-O-N-D S-T-Y-L-Z.
Okay.
And she's spoken at a lot of universities. She's very well known in the community, and she's been a really big pillar in my life. She's one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to advocate. She's so adamant about the way she feels about society.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I say, so what are some of the things that y'all talk about on there?
So some of the things that we do talk about, we talk about equal rights. We talk about, I don't know if you guys remember, but kind of like a couple of years ago, probably like 2 or 3, they had issues with the bathroom bill about
in North Carolina.
right.
So
So
they
that
had an issue here too, right?
Yeah.
There was an issue
Yeah.
here,
and so we just talk about a plethora of things about the community. The community.
Yeah.
And we also talk about upcoming events that you can participate in around the community and different areas of the state. So like BTAC is not only in Dallas, they have one in Philly, they have one in Atlanta, and it comes up in different times of the year. We also talk about politics.
Okay.
I'm not really that involved in politics, however, my co-hosts are. So,
Okay.
as far as that politics, let's see what else. That's the main thing. Yeah, we talk about a lot of upcoming things. We do have a review on Pose. So we talk about the Pole show. That's a really interesting show. Their second season is coming out.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
When is it coming?
I don't know when it's coming. I just know that I tried to book the audition and they were filled up, and I was like, so hopefully next time.
Like I said, I know you haven't watched it before.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but
You
I've heard
gotta
everything
watch
about
it.
It's stuff like,
Oh my God.
Like I said, my homegirl
Had me thinking.
Yeah,
Like
like I said, my homegirl had me watch it, whatever, and it's funny because when you look online and stuff, like Joe Budden was like, "Yeah, man, you know, I don't really watch nothing like that," but he was like, his girl put him on it. He's like,
good.
"So a really good show."
Yeah,
It's
like
good.
I was gonna say, I've heard
I
from
watched
people
it
that I
twice.
know are kind of, you know, homophobic and stuff. They're like, I mean, you know, but it is a good show.
It's a good
Like,
show. It opens my mind
it's
and
a
be like,
good show.
okay. And Netflix has a documentary about, I guess, the same type of setting of maybe transgenders doing like those type of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love how they was just changing like their features, everything, the clothing, to just different lifestyles. And the
Just a
houses,
different lifestyle.
yeah, and the houses. And how
You
they
talking
look.
about Ballroom? Are you
I
talking
think
about
so. I don't know. I watched it. And it
Paris
worked.
is Burning?
But I don't know.
It's old school.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
old. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
So did Pose come from that? Because it
It
kind of
did.
looked like
it did.
Okay.
So it's kind of well, the first season is like a 70s kind of theme, and so Janet Mock, who is an advocate. Yeah, if you guys know.
Yeah,
who
she was
is,
on the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Before.
I don't know. Okay.
And she's
okay.
really, really well known in the community, and she just wanted to give trans people of color that light, and as you guys can see, it's showing
It's a
people
good show.
a different light.
Which character do you like?
I like India more.
Okay, which one is it? Is that she's the curly hair? Like
Hispanic, yeah.
Yeah, she was cute. Okay, she's the one that had the boyfriend that had a wife.
Right.
I was like, damn. Which one you gonna be with, sir? Oh, he was tripping. You gotta watch the show. My bad.
It was good.
Yeah, I gotta catch up now. I feel like I'm out.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of leads to this question, whatever. Like, how do you feel about like the whole trans renaissance that's going on in Hollywood? Like we're saying with the show Pose, and actually having transgender actors be a part of the show, not somebody playing transgender.
Yeah.
But the case may be, you have, like you say, the Janet Mocks being more prevalent in activism. You have the Laverne Coxes of the world, Amaya Scott for Star, and things of that nature. So how do you feel like that kind of representation being more in Hollywood today, being more accepted, I guess, and presented for everybody?
I think it's beautiful because it showed, because we're all born different. So as a young trans person, I didn't see people like me on TV.
Right.
And I didn't know that was possible. So it's showing the younger generation, hey, I don't have to just convert to whatever lifestyle.
That had to be hard.
I can be more.
Yeah, that had to be hard not to see, like someone like you
That represents you.
Yeah, like you don't think
it was hard, but it wasn't something I thought about. Because I was young, I was just like, okay, this is the way of the world. This is how the world is.
True.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like how, you know, black people always talk about microaggressions. It's something that you don't really notice is going on, but it's going on, so it kind of affects you.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Right.
feel like that's kind of the same thing. Like, you don't see representation, like, you don't think about it,
Mm-hmm.
but somewhere in your mind, it's kind of affecting you, like, I don't see anybody else
like me.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I can understand that.
Kind of like the bathroom. Like, the girls have been, and the guys, trans men and trans women, have been using the restroom for years, and it has not been a problem. The only problem that there's been in the restroom is from, I think, some man who decided to go to the wrong restroom. And
Right.
they've been going to the restroom forever, and now it's a problem.
Right, and that's what I never understood about the
Nobody
whole
ever thought about it.
bathroom bill,
Mhm.
was that, like, okay, if you don't know, then how do you, like, what are you going to do? Kick somebody out because you think that they're trans or whatever? Like, you don't know.
That's true. They have done that, though.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But to like cisgender women, and cis means like, you know, you born
they'll be
biologically
but,
who
yeah.
you are. So you would be cis, you would be cis.
Okay.
And they've kicked some cis women out of the restroom and they were actually
Right.
not trans.
Right.
And they've gotten like embarrassed, and they've changed policies because of that. And they did have an idea of like drawing blood to see if your gender matched your chromosomes, and they're just being extra.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
That's a lot.
Just to use the restroom.
Because like I say,
Just
for
to
you,
use the restroom?
like I say,
You
if
gonna
you
throw my
wrong.
blood? I'll be damn.
Yeah. I'm just saying, but like I say, if you wrong, like you say, I kick out a woman out of the woman restroom.
Because I done been in the men's restroom, because I ain't waiting in this line. I got in trouble.
But that just shows like how hard you watching something. Like,
But the police told me he was gonna take me to jail. I was like,
really?
Yes, at Prospect Park.
Look, are you serious?
Yeah, they told me that you can't do that. I was holding it too long. I was like,
but
oh
I mean,
God.
like I said, I don't think that I just don't understand how you could be that worried about somebody else. Like if I'm using the restroom, like especially like in a men's restroom, you don't interact with anybody anyway.
I be wondering what if y'all be talking because I be talking.
No,
women talk like,
you have some niggas that be trying to have a conversation.
Why you peeing?
Yeah. You peeing. Hey dog, they got some fine ass hoes here tonight.
Okay,
like,
really? What's up?
But that's not cool while we standing next to each other.
Why y'all peeing?
Yeah, we trying to pee right now.
Right?
Like people, I'm drunk. I'm trying to concentrate.
That's not for everybody.
Yeah, so that's why I never understood the whole bathroom thing. I was like, no, I know in the men's restroom we don't interact, so like I have no reason to worry about who's going into what stall. So that's like because if you're in a crowded club, women come into the men's restroom all the time because the lines are long.
Right.
And so they're like pop in and go into a stall. So, like niggas be in the restroom and be like, oh the fuck. And you just go on about your business and walk back out.
But that's why some clubs changed it up though. Yeah, like you have like the restrooms and you walk in the back and it's just a whole bunch of restrooms. And
I think Fox Hollow was like that, but some dude tried to come in with. I don't want to talk about that. I want that slap up.
But I see the issue with that though is because niggas are nasty.
Yes.
I mean it's both ways too because I've been in the restroom and there was blood on the door. So I mean it goes both ways. But at a gay club, like nobody thinks about who's going in what. I don't know if y'all ever been.
No.
But everybody uses the same restroom. Like
so it's no like girls, boys. You just go.
You may see girls or boys at the top, but you'll go in and it's both. But nobody cares because everyone's using the restroom.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like you're using the restroom. Like I don't think it really matters who's in there. If I have to step into a stall, nobody's in that stall with me.
You're not getting in the stall with me.
Like you're not in the stall with me, so it don't really matter to me. Whatever restroom you want to use, feel free. That's why I say like when I see women in the men's restroom because their line is too long, I'm like, I feel you. You had to pee.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
The police don't tell you.
Imagine like somebody trans. Yeah. Like okay, imagine if we were in the women's restroom and he's a trans man and the police say he has to use the women's restroom. Wouldn't that make you feel uncomfortable?
It do a little.
But no, I'm saying like in like maybe like at work or something.
Oh yeah.
And that was like forcing trans people to use the restroom that they were biologically born as.
It would make me feel kind of uncomfortable to see a man come in my restroom.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And that's what she's saying. Like it's a trans man, so like it's basically a
man. So visually I'm seeing this man walking to the restroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna be confused.
Yeah.
I probably ain't gonna say shit.
You gonna look at
what if you
with
your baby? You got your daughter with you, or you got your child.
No, girl, go by your business. We're like, no questions there. Like, wash your hands.
But like she said, according to the law, that's what would have to happen. Like that trans man have to be
I don't like that.
Which create a whole other issue.
That has to be embarrassing to be like.
It has to be, or a trans woman. Going to the men's restroom, how much of a scene that could be. Not even that the men know that if the men know that she's trans, that could cause a whole issue in itself.
Like, what you doing up there?
I mean, because even if it because if it's a trans woman coming in, like even when there are women in the restroom, I feel for the women that are in the restroom. Period, because niggas can be a little, especially when they're drinking. They get a little aggressive. They start talking. Hey, what you doing in here? And then like it makes it unsafe for the woman that's in there. So like I think that whole law where trans women have to be in the restroom with men because biologically and all that, like it makes things way too complicated. Like it's simpler just to let people go to the restroom they want to go to.
I think I was in the airport in LA and I don't remember. I know the restroom was for both, and I couldn't figure out what to do. I was like, I gotta go to the restroom. I'll just have one, right? It don't matter. I gotta go to the restroom.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of thing brings us to our main check yourself segment.
Oh shit! Well, I was gonna say I was just gonna have to run this into the check yourself
segment.
Put it all together.
Yeah, no, like I say, run into the check yourself segment. It kind of goes into, like I said, what we've been talking about is the whole kind of like say the peer-o-phobia versus homophobia. And like I said, just that whole situation. I think so many people like it's easy to call somebody homophobic, but I don't think the majority of people are. I think you have some people just have true phobias. They're scared of certain things that they don't understand.
And they don't want to understand.
Yeah, they don't want to understand. Like they just be like, this is my bias, whatever the case may be, whatever. I'm saying move on. But I think more people are peer-o-phobia, which I mean is people are afraid of what their friends and family thinks about them. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that nature, like we talking about like the bathroom situation, like we talking about like you say, like niggas be in the club, we drunk and shit, we see some shit like that. A nigga might have a thought in his head, but he gonna say something for the audience to hear,
right?
Because he's trying to show out.
Yeah.
Like niggas like saying. Like
that's why a lot of girls get killed.
Yeah, like I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, trans women, like I've seen like because the thing what is it the stigma of the trans woman or trans man is that we're all deceiving people. Right. We're all just gonna lie to you and to be honest, a lot of girls don't want to be harmed or deal with that what comes with that. Now there are some girls that do trick guys, but the majority I've seen that they don't. Well, yeah, to that extent, but I've seen girls. I do know girls, and I won't lie. There are some girls who have went further than just dating and been intimate with guys they did not know. Now that's not okay. But the majority usually do. Like there was a girl in Miami. She was walking with a group of 6 girls. And they were just walking down the street, and a group of guys pulled up and was trying to holler at the trans girl. And she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep walking. He just kept being persistent. And what a lot of trans women will do is just be like, I'm trans, just to get you to stop bothering them. Right. And that didn't help. And so his friends in the car with him started clowning him. He got out the car and shot her in the head.
Oh my.
So it's like, okay, they want trans women or trans men to be honest and open, but you also have to know who you're talking to. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to tell somebody who says, oh, if this happened, I'm going to kill this person, or I'm going to kill that person. If this happened, I'm not going to tell you I'm trans.
Right.
Like, know who you're talking to. Like, do a psyche evaluation.
Right. You got to
evaluation.
Yeah. You got to know. And I was going to say, like, when you deal with people like that, so what would you normally do if you were dealing with somebody and you know, you could tell that they're the type of person that doesn't want to find out that you're trans, and you just kind of like ghost them, because we had a conversation about ghosting. You just kind of ghost them.
Yeah, you just ghost them.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Or, well, that's what I do. That's what I've done. Well, when I was younger. Yeah. Now that I'm older, I don't got time to attach myself to somebody and then, you know, get them to love me for who I am, and then later on tell them, hey, I'm trans. Because it's either going to go one way. Oh, I love you for you, or blah, blah, blah. Or, okay, that's not okay with me. Now you invested all your feelings and all your time into somebody who you could have really just told in the beginning and went there from there. Because, went there from there. Because at the end of the day, if you don't tell them that who you are, how are they loving you for who you are?
Exactly.
That's true.
In the beginning. But to answer your question, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Something about, what was your question? It was something about peer-o-phobia, right?
No, it was just basically a statement. Just basically stating that, like, how I feel about it is that I just feel like, I guess I'm going to talk about this part again, about the Game of Thrones part.
Okay.
Like I say, in Game of Thrones, whatever, you have like the Starks, Lannisters, all the main families, and they're all big on their house. Like, they get on the imp, whatever, Tyrion, like him being small, whatever, and how his dad didn't like that, whatever, because it affects their house name.
Yeah, it makes that
character. Yeah. But and that's how I feel like with a lot of situations like this, like I said, peer-phobia versus homophobia, is that people attach stuff to their name. They'll be like their family-wise, whatever. It's like, I don't want my name to be floated in this kind of circles, whatever, because society looks at it in a negative way. Like, I feel like you can get with a person one-on-one and tell them your story, whatever, regardless of what the story is about, and people will be understanding. But you get around a group of people, and then people change up and be like, oh, they want to be looked at a certain way.
And they have egos.
They have egos and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like I say, this is, like I said, so like I remember like in high school, dudes talking about eating pussy.
Yeah.
Whatever case may be. You know what I'm saying? And do somebody eating pussy, and like, you know, you have one person be like, yeah, I do that, and you have your homeboys over here talking about, oh hell no, that shit nasty. You do that shit, whatever.
Y'all wasn't saying that shit in high school.
No, in high school, like that was a big argument.
You were not
saying
that was a big argument. Like, not doing that, like, that's nasty.
I know.
You wasn't supposed to.
When I was in high school, dudes was not telling the truth.
No, that's the whole point.
Okay.
Because like,
right, it was nasty.
Like,
you did it.
Because we used to have homeboys, whatever, like I said, we was doing band shit, whatever, so people that was like at PV or TSU, they'd be like, man, you ain't no pussy, you better eat some pussy. Like, have your tongue skills, whatever, playing and shit. You know what I'm saying? And everybody laughing, but if that person that said that had some clout, whatever, now the group is like, oh, I wonder how his pussy, whatever case may be, or it basically takes the stigma out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's all we kind of operate on like a groupthink.
Right.
Like I say, which is a very negative way of thinking.
And it comes up in situations like homophobia, transphobia, all of that, because like if somebody comes out and is like you said, they have enough clout or they have enough of a following, and they're like, you know, this is cool, like this is okay. Then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, now it's okay. But that's stupid.
Perfect example. Like I said, we went to Prairie View.
Yeah.
It's like everybody knew Chanel.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Who's that?
Chanel was he's a homosexual male, but he wore Chanel. He wore Chanel. Like he had money. Like he had money. But he always had models and stuff around him and everything. Like it was always a scene when he came because he had new Chanel purse. He had an umbrella when the sun was out. Like he was flamboyant. Like everybody knew who Chanel was. And he was probably it shocked me at first because my sister was already at PV, so I came when I was still in high school just to visit, and I went to a football game and he came in and like it was a scene, and I was like, this is crazy. Like that was my first real situation where I'd seen it, but it really did change things at PV. Like he changed a lot.
Yeah, which is interesting. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure people who don't see people like me on TV and have seen Pose or Star, I'm pretty sure they have the same reaction.
Right.
Yeah. Because like I said, the main thing, like I said, what we was talking about with him is he had so much clout that if you say, oh yeah, I know Chanel, whatever, everybody like, oh, okay, yeah, that's just Chanel. You know what I'm saying? A group of guys, whatever. But let it be somebody else, whatever, everybody like, ah, man, you talking to that nigga? This and that, whatever the case may be, because, like I say, it boils down to you when you really break it down. It's like, it is all about some status shit.
It's who you're around and the people that you're around that make things acceptable. Because, like, if you were on the outside looking in, like I said, I was coming from high school. Yeah. And so me coming in, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And everybody's like, oh no, that's just Chanel. And so, like, everybody was accepting at the school, but you had to be in that group in order to see why that was acceptable. And, you know, as I came to PV and I got to know who Chanel was and everything, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, but going in high school, you know, we were real homophobic. I played football. It's bad. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that was just off the wall.
Which is crazy in itself because, like, real talk, whatever, one of the gayest places is, to me, it's the locker room, ain't the sport you play.
It is.
What y'all doing now?
Man, you don't even want to know.
I need to know. I'm in the locker room. I want to know. We didn't do nothing.
I remember playing baseball, whatever, and I remember, like, we lost, whatever.
What you do?
We lost, and it was like everybody getting their shit together and coaching now. That's like, so we all getting hit with wood and shit, with paddles and stuff, and you messed up. And coach was like, man, y'all losing this shit, y'all acting crazy, whatever. Hey, if y'all don't got it in the next 5 minutes, y'all shit. Y'all taking pots with it, right? Niggas that whole playing grab ass with each other, you know what I'm saying? Was it sack tap? You know what I'm saying? Hitting niggas in the nuts.
You know what
I'm saying? Tapping them in the nuts and shit like that. And it's like,
I know dudes that play that still, but okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the stuff that we did it was like low key kind of homosexual. Like it would come off that way. And so it's funny that those are the same people that are just like completely against homosexuals and they're completely homophobic and everything like that in the locker room. Because the locker room, there's a lot of, you know,
tension.
Is that the way of experimenting in a masculine way?
I think that may be, you may have a point there.
It's not gay because everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm low-key kind of getting my
right. My feelings.
I think it's that fine line. It's that fine line.
To think, huh? Okay.
Well, no, and I feel that. I feel that. I feel like some people are trying to walk that line, whatever. Like, this is all play, this is all group thing, whatever. And everybody's accepting of it. You know what I'm saying? But some people are really trying to...
I was going to say, there's a few of them in there that are probably like, you know, I want to see how I feel after all of this happens. Like, how did this make me feel? And if they feel a certain type of way, they're like, okay, well, maybe I'm not as heterosexual as I thought I was. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it is a way of saying, like, a masculine experimenting.
For some people. Did men think like that? Because women kind of play with it a little bit. You know?
But women have more freedom than men. You know, you can... Well, some gay women are tormented, but for the most part, you can do whatever. You can wear whatever clothes you want to wear without a guy saying anything. But I mean, you do have those standards.
You can tell a woman, like, you know what I'm saying? Wow, she's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? She's attractive. Damn, she got a fat ass.
So that's the way y'all.
We ain't gonna say no shit.
Yeah, we can't say that about me.
I know. That's how y'all play around and figure out. Hey, maybe I am.
Because the most of dudes say, they be like. A girl will be like, damn, he's attractive or whatever, right? Like, and a dude will be like, might feel like he's an attractive guy. People be like, man, he doing that.
Yeah, he do his thing.
Yeah, he doing his thing, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like nobody can be like, oh, he's handsome.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
I think it's crazy because when I played basketball in high school, it was gay girls on the team. Don't never say it was gay, like never. But I already knew. I was like,
but
in high school,
yeah, they would never.
But they could. But that's what we were saying. Like Mia was saying that like you could experiment as a girl. Like you can do that. You can mess with other girls and things like that. And they'd be like, okay, well I was just trying to see. Men can't do that. Like once you've done it once. Like there was a scene on Insecure where the dude
no, he
said
wasn't.
he
said what
he said he gave he got head from one dude.
Right, he got hit.
And he was like,
I didn't like it, so I'm not gay. But they're like, oh no, you gay because
you experiment.
Yeah,
right.
You experiment. You gay. That's
but
it.
a woman could do that and
you're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, because the girl remember she had like a whole relationship with a female. She's like, but that's different. Like,
right.
Yeah, that's not different.
Like I have a bisexual homegirl who loves having sex with women, but would never be in a relationship with one. So like, there are men that are the same way.
Yeah, but like you're saying, like she has that kind of feeling, but her life is not going to change outwardly to anybody. Because like a bunch of dudes be like, well, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can.
Depending on how her family is. If it's Christian based, she can be disowned.
Yeah.
Seem about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not family based, but as far as other peers or friends, whatever, might be accepting of it.
Okay.
But it's like for a man, it's like your friends, family, whatever. Everybody kind of looking at you like.
So that brings me to another question. Since we talked about like you said like Christian based, how do you feel about like religion? Because a lot of religions are what these stigmas and problems come from.
And they uphold it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, the way I feel about religion has changed over the years. Because I was raised in the church, so I faithfully went to choir, practice, rain, sleet, or snow. I was always there, and I had a really good relationship with God, and I still do. But there was a moment where I think it was one Sunday, because every other Sunday I went to the altar to get prayed for. So I went to the this Sunday, and a lady was telling me that she was going to pray the demon out of me. And I said, okay.
That's what they do.
This is not what I came up here for.
Yeah.
I didn't say, oh, hey, I need you to pray the demon out of me. I'm like, no, you just automatically assume that. And it created an experience for me. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to rethink about the places that I'm spending my spiritual time in, because it's not good for my health.
I agree.
I seen something. It's funny that we talking about this because I seen something yesterday or something I read, and they was talking about basically like homosexuality in the church and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they was talking about how like if the pastor is gay, whatever, everybody's like, oh hell no, that's not gonna happen, blah blah blah. So they were like, so you don't want the person that's preaching to you to be homosexual, but the person singing to you, that's fine. Yeah, they're like quadric can be gay, that's fine.
Like,
nigga singing to me is cool, but the person preaching to me now we can't have.
I guess my issue with that is even deeper than that. Like, cause my thing is with pastors, cause you can't people would not accept a homosexual pastor or anything like that. But everybody knows that they pastor would like sleep around or be fornicating with everybody or whatever. Like, why is like homosexuality like the biggest sin for everybody? Like, why is
but cheating is not.
But
like John
molestation is not.
Right.
Yeah.
Preach.
Catholic Church got a million people molesting
basically.
people.
Damn,
yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
But it's a family though. Like
they covered up a lot of stuff. I watched the documentary about this.
What was it called?
I gotta go back.
I want to go look.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the Catholic Church has problems, the Baptist Church has problems. Like it's so many other things going on, but like the one thing that they all come together on is homosexuality is a problem.
Right.
Like why?
Like I seen a video on Facebook. You know, I have so many videos on Facebook, and there was I guess there was a I don't know if they were trans or if they were just a cross-dresser. But apparently the preacher had pulled them to the side after they had came in the opposite sex attire and was like, hey, we don't accept this at our church, so you can't come like that. And so I don't know how the message was given to them or how they received it, but they came the next Sunday. And then they had it on live. He was telling the guy in front of everybody, you need to leave right now. We don't accept men don't wear women's clothes in front of the whole church.
I thought it was come as you are.
That's what
and kicked him out.
Hell, we had Mr. Greenwood show up in some boxes and cowboy boots.
I talk about Mr. Green.
Mr. Green.
Shout out to Mr. Green.
R.I.P. Mr. Green.
Yeah. But no, and that's my whole thing. Like, if people are really following the Bible and stuff, then like, you know, Jesus, like he was hanging out with the tax collectors. He was
that's what I said. I told my mama that's where I need to be. I'm gonna be like Jesus.
I was with the hoes?
Yeah, I'm with the hoes.
But
the tax collector gonna get my taxes.
The church be so backwards on that. That's what I don't get, and that's why I said like I don't understand why that sin is just the biggest one. Cross dressing, trans, homophobia, like all of that stuff.
But
is
they
like
the biggest sinners, the ones that be at church all the time.
Right.
Basically, just talking bad about people all the time, or judging
all
the time.
Most judgmental. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You going to hell? You gotta repent. What you wear,
what?
who you date, all that's extra. But I do want to say this. I feel like you said peer-phobia. Peer-phobia.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get that right. But peer-phobia, I feel like that's one of the reasons why trans-attracted men and trans-attracted women can't love who they want to love, because the people outside them crucify you. As soon as you see a rapper or a celebrity date or they have some scandal with a trans person, they're automatically discontinued by the community.
Poor Chingy. Because I never cheated.
What about Bobby Valentino?
Bobby Valentino had that happen to him. Yep. Eddie Murphy.
But then we ain't cancel Eddie Murphy.
No, because he's Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, he's Eddie Murphy. But and it happened early on, and it wasn't as public. It wasn't before social media.
But we will. That black culture will cancel you.
Right. Ocean Frank Ocean. I did that whole back.
I forgot about him.
Yeah,
I love him.
So that brings me to a question though. So you said trans attractive. Is that explain that term to me? Trans attractive.
Trans attracted. It means that you're someone who's attracted to trans women or trans men.
Okay, so my question for that is, I don't know how you would feel about it, because like it's like for me, I've talked to people that are like, you know, like big women, and they're like, they don't like when a lot of people say that they're attracted to big women because they feel like they're fetishized. Do you feel like it's kind of a fetishized thing if you're trans attracted?
If you're a chaser, it is. It's a difference. A chaser is someone who really loves either trans women or trans men, and it's just because of what they have. So I want that experience. I want to be with somebody who was born this way or whatever. They want to fetishize this. Is what they think about all the time. I want all of them, not just one. I want all of them in the world. So that's a chaser.
Buffet.
Yes.
Like try a little bit of all of them.
And a trans-attracted person is somebody who loves somebody that's of trans experience, who is just loving them for who they are in general, not just because they are trans.
Right. Okay.
But they just happen to be attracted to trans people. That makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's like, I was gonna say it's kind of like people that only date a certain race or something. Like it's because they are attracted to that race.
Like a preference.
Yeah, it's a preference. I can dig that. Yeah. So let me see. What was that? Okay. So our other question. One of the other questions we had was, okay, so there's been a lot of articles and things coming up about athletes, because there was a whole like Olympics thing where somebody was going to go into the Olympics and they were a trans woman competing against women, and they were
burning them out. Yeah, I've seen that.
So like, how do you feel about that whole revolution of the sports world with trans athletes coming into, you know, cis athletes arenas? Yeah.
I think that it should be open. However, the politics have to change, I think, because it's a new era. So as far as there being an unfair advantage, I don't know. For me as a trans person, I can be binary, which means I sometimes put myself in those heteronormative boxes. And so there was a trans person who is non-binary. So that means they don't identify by he, she, they just go by they, them, and theirs. And they don't take hormones, but they fit underneath the trans umbrella. So they consider themselves trans.
Okay.
And so I would be a transsexual because I changed I live as a woman. Right. So trans is the umbrella term. And so them competing on that side and not having hormones, because hormones break down your body. I don't have muscles, you grow your body as it would be female or vice versa. So I think when you do that, then that's fair, because there was a trans man who was in Texas who was competing against the cis men, and they said, oh no, you can't do that. The parents rallied. He was in high school, and this was recent,
right?
And so they made him compete against the women. He was just wearing them out,
right?
But he had the testosterone in him. He had muscles. He was built like a man. So it's like, I don't know how that would work.
I was gonna say that to me would be a problem for the trans man competing, because you know they always have issues like in baseball where you have human growth hormones.
And they can't take
and
that.
So you're not supposed to take any of that. But if you're a trans man, then that's what you take.
That's
so
right.
Now you are moving at a disadvantage even to the cis men.
But it's medically diagnosed, and there are some cis men who have low levels of testosterone that are medically diagnosed, and they have to take it.
Yeah, so they should just test them different and let them go ahead and compete. I don't know.
I mean, personally, I think they should take away all that testing anyway, because if you take human growth hormones, I think it just helps you. If everybody takes human growth hormones, everybody can get it.
But they taking other stuff.
Yeah, sort of recovery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, to me, that's you know, I don't see a problem with it at all. I mean, as far as that goes. Now, as far as like the competing goes, because I coach sports, so I can see where like people would have an issue with other people having unfair advantages and things like that, and it will complicate things. But I think it's something that can be explored. I think it's something that can be discussed and be like, okay, well, how are we gonna deal with this? Like, you can't just tell trans women, well, you just can't compete because you can't compete with the women, but then you can't compete with the men. You just don't compete at all. That doesn't make sense.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair at all.
Well, it doesn't make sense because, like I say, if you put them against certain people, right? It doesn't mean that they're just going to be totally dominant. Because, like you said, there's some women that's born women that's beast at whatever they do.
Yeah.
Like case may be. So if I'm transgender, whatever case may be, it doesn't mean I'm just like, oh, I got the advantage. Because it's all about how you train and how you go about whatever sport you're trying to do. So
I was gonna say, because there would be a trans woman going against like Serena Williams, and Serena Williams is. She can really beat.
She's qualified.
She's a beast. So like, I mean, even if you were born a male and you're a trans woman, you still probably don't have an advantage on Serena. You know what I'm saying? So,
because I'm a trans woman, I'm smoking, you attract all the other women. I mean, I train to be at this level,
right? Exactly.
To run this fast or whatever the case may be. I just didn't be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna change up and I'm just gonna get out of bed and be able to smoke everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, and I don't want to say that I have a solution for it. But I just think that it's something that really needs to be discussed, because I think it's a big deal.
What I didn't hear you guys talk about is the trans men. I don't think that trans men get enough shine because it's a lot of them out there. So do you think that it would be a disadvantage for a trans man to compete with men?
I think that it would be a disadvantage for them.
I think it'll be a disadvantage.
Well, cis men, I should say.
Well, I think it'll be a disadvantage, but I think it'll be more accepted.
Yeah, that people will be fine with it though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's
that's why I don't think
the women that we think.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why people are raising hell about trans women competing, because they're like, oh well, this trans woman was born a man, so she's already ahead.
Because you already think men are ahead of us.
Yeah, the ego. It's the ego.
It's the biology. I mean, it's biology too, because like there's testosterone. Testosterone does cause different effects on the body, and so like if you're a trans woman competing against women, then you're gonna have a little bit of an advantage just because of where. But it, like you said, if you're talking about hormones, then it's gonna.
But if you've been training for it, like he said.
But what if you started them when you're young? Like there are children that are starting hormones, so you're not even like as a trans girl, you're not even having any type of testosterone in your body. So is it at a disadvantage then?
And I guess that brings me to another question, because how young do you feel like you were when you just knew that?
Oh, that's what you wanted to transition.
Yeah.
I've always known. I just didn't know until I got older that it was possible.
That was possible.
Oh. I was just like, I know I'm not gay because I'm not a man. I don't want to be that my body is not a man, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I explored that lane. I was like, that's not for me. It was like for a day or two. And yeah, I've always known. And then when I got older and I realized, hey, this is something that you can actually do. It was like, oh, this is what I am. And I think a lot of people discover who they are when they're in high school. So that's how I was able to do that. And I'm from the South, so there wasn't a lot of trans people or a lot of knowledge. Like when I went to the doctor to get my hormones, the doctor told me that it's against my religious beliefs and I can't serve you.
Right.
So it was really, really hard when I was younger.
I guess my question with that was because I saw actually on Facebook not too long ago where they had like a whole article about, I think the kid was about 4 or 5 years old, and the parents were like, we already know that it was born male, and then they were like, well, we know that this is a female, so they were giving her they were getting ready to get hormone treatments, all that kind of stuff.
She's intersex?
Yeah. What does that mean?
Intersex is when you are born with different chromosomes, like you.
And they pick which one.
If you're born with a penis and a vagina.
Oh no.
And so the parents pick.
Yeah.
This was a child born with a penis. Like it was born.
But with their chromosomes the same. That makes a difference too, because you could be born with different chromosomes and not have enough testosterone and be
intersex. They didn't really get that deep into it, but from what they explained was that like the child was born a male. But they had like already decided that like, you know, well, everything about this child is female, like female. They like the I guess heteronormative. They like the heteronormative female thing. So they were like, okay, we're gonna give them dresses. You know, they started buying her, you know, female clothes, dolls, things like that, doing her hair a different way. And then they were like, they would send her to school.
They gave her a
sex change. Was okay with that?
They didn't give there was not like real transition, but
they just started her.
Yeah, because this is what they said she liked. So
okay.
So they were like, but the child was like 5 years old. Like I said, it was born male, but they would send her to school as a female, and so there was a lot of issues with them in the school and that kind of stuff because they were like, well, this is a little boy. Like when they started school, it was a boy, and so as they transitioned to that, it was like. You know, it was only 5 or 6 years old, and so how do you feel about it? Do you think that parents
to make the decision for the kid?
Yeah, like
but the kid already know what they like. Yeah, I just watched the video on Instagram.
I asked about that age thing because I'm like, what age do you like really know?
When they can transition.
Yeah, because I think that little boys experiment with girl stuff all the time. Like, I can see little boys playing. I've seen little boys play.
I've seen little boys play with Barbies.
But Barbie, but not dressing up. I've never seen the dressing like it. And they still boys.
And little boys play like with their mom's heels and stuff like that.
I know little boys that were just like that, dressed up and did dress up stuff, and they ended up being football players.
Yeah.
They were completely male when they got older, but when they were younger, you know, they experimented with dolls.
Well, maybe but would you call it experimented? Because when you're young, you're not taught this is what boys do, this is what girls do. You're kind of just doing whatever you want to do.
Or whatever you see on like cartoons, like, oh, I like that.
What you see on TV or what parent has the more hands-on with you, whatever case maybe you see like with your mom a lot or have like a family built with like a lot of females. You know what I'm saying?
I got a lot of females, and I probably don't act like
that's what I was gonna say. Is that a lot of those males that I know that did that were like they grew up with all women. Like their father wasn't around, and so like they were all women, and so like they were real feminine when they were younger. I mean, as they got older, they were male, but like they were real feminine when they were younger. So if you have a feminine son, how early do you be like, okay, well, I think you should just be a female? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think that they should make that decision on their own.
Yeah, I don't think that you should make that choice.
I think they should tell me.
To answer that question, I think that, like, if I had a child and they decided they wanted to be trans, you would have to explain to me why you want to, and you'd have to make sense, and you'd have to know what you're talking about. Because I wouldn't allow you to transition and then you end up being like, oh, I didn't want to do this, and now it's too late. Now you have things that have happened. You got boobs, you have hips, you have all these qualities that now you have to surgically remove, or you might kill yourself, because a lot of trans women and a lot of trans men too have killed themselves because they were actually not trans. They were just
experimenting.
They were experimenting.
Was your family supportive with your changing?
Not at all.
I wouldn't be saying like that.
I know, like that's what I was.
And I needed when I got caught, my mom was like, okay, so you're not coming into my house because remember I was raised in the church.
Yeah.
And both my parents are military.
Oh.
So my mama was like, oh, you're not coming in the church. I mean, you're not coming in the house dressed like that. I pay the bills. If you want to dress like that, then you can do it when you leave. But when you come back in, you're going to dress how I want you to dress.
Right.
And so, over time, she accepted me because, I mean, I was like, oh, well, this is who I am. And I'm not going to keep changing. I'm not going to do that. And at the time, I had the job, so I was like, I'm contributing somewhere. And I respect my mother. I'm not saying I don't do that, but I was just like, you know what? For the loved ones in my life who decided that they could not accept it and they couldn't call me the right pronouns and they couldn't call me the name that I called, I told them to call me before I got my name changed. How was that so hard? I just didn't understand how that was so hard when you can give anybody a nickname and remember it, and it's no problem. But when I tell you this is why I want to be called, this is how I identify, you want to go against the grain and embarrass me in public. People don't know that I'm trans. You call me the wrong pronouns. And so I was like, oh, you don't want to deal with that, so I'm not going to deal with you. And so I kicked those people out of my life, and I guess they decided, hey, I want to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going to conform. But that's just how I am. If you don't respect me, then you're not going to be in my life.
That's how it should go.
I was gonna say, like,
and I don't care who you are, because it's my well-being.
Yeah.
My self-care.
Yeah. You got to take care of yourself. And I think that, like, me personally, I've come a long way from where I used to be. But because we've had conversations, like, because I remember back in like high school, college, those kind of conversations, like, okay, well, what happens if you like have a son and they decide, like they tell you that they're gay or they're trans or something like that? How do you handle it? And I know that I've had conversations with my peers, and it's been like, nobody has ever said they kill them, but they beat them. Not even that. Like they would just, they disown them. You know what I'm saying? It would be like, you good, live your life. I ain't fucking with you no more. Yeah. Like, and they said that openly. And I was like, initially I was on the fence. Now I understand that, like, you have to be more open about things. Like, I couldn't imagine having a kid come into the world, tell you something, and then
no, this is my belief. This is what I believe in. You're gonna conform to them.
And I guess because I started doing like counseling with kids, like I realized that like you can't really handle a kid like that. Like
do you see that when you do counseling with children? Like
I haven't
they
encountered
haven't opened up to their parents.
Oh yeah, no, that's a big thing. Is that communication between their parents is always bad, and it doesn't even have to be anything about being gay or trans or anything.
Of course.
But it's just like I had a kid that was suicidal, and hadn't opened up to their parents about how bad they were feeling and things like that, because the parents don't really. Sometimes parents aren't really that accepting of you saying you want to kill yourself either.
I seen them being like that. Talking about black parents, like, girl, you trying to kill yourself.
Yeah, they don't tell
that. That's so messed up. Go back in there and wash some dishes. Like, it's so messed up.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it is. Like, kids don't open up to their parents. So if you have a son or a daughter and they come out to you and they're like, I'm gay, I'm trans, I'm a female, I'm not a male, and then like if you respond to it the wrong way, you could really mess that child up.
Psychologically,
very bad.
And they'll take them into their adulthood.
Yeah,
unless they treat them when they're young.
Yeah. We don't, black people don't treat nothing.
And that brings me into the next thing. The last thing I guess we'll talk about in this topic. One of the things is, like, as far as therapy goes, we use this thing called the diagnosis, and I can't remember the whole name. Diagnosis Statistics Manual or something like that. It's the DSM. And they just came out with the newest edition. The 5th edition came out in 2013. I think that's the latest one they have. And so in the DSM, it's basically what therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, that's what they use to diagnose people with mental illness. So you have everything in there from autism, you got people with bipolar disorder, you have people with dissociative disorder where they have like multiple personalities, all that stuff is in there. And it explains everything. Like this DSM explains everything about mental illness. So up until 1980, if you said you were homosexual, you were having a mental illness. Homosexuality was a mental illness up until 1980, and the DSM, I think that was DSM-3, DSM-2, something like that. They took it out in 1980, and they were like, okay, that's not a mental illness, but they have gender and identity disorders. And gender and identity disorders stayed in the DSM until 2013, when they were like, okay, well, it's not really an identity disorder, we'll just call it gender dysphoria. Like, you're not sure what gender you're supposed to be.
I heard about that.
So it's still a mental illness in the DSM if you go to a therapist. So And the reason I bring that up is because what Mia just said about, like, we're talking about kids and, treating them when they're young. If you have a child come to you, or as a therapist, if you're not an open therapist, if you're not, cultured and you're not up to date, and you're just reading the DSM, sometimes you can take a child to a therapist and they're like, okay, well, you have gender dysphoria.
So what do they do?
You treat it. You try to get them to find out what traumas caused it, or things like that. Like they'll go into a whole, like you would for any other mental illness. Like if you came to your therapist and said you wanted to kill yourself, they're gonna explore your mental, how your mental capacity is, what's been going on in your life, what makes you this way.
Okay, so they haven't had any type of trauma. They just like putting on heels and.
I'm telling you, as a therapist that's accepting, I wouldn't do gender dysphoria. I would talk to them and see how they feel about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I'm saying that I wanted to bring that up as a topic, because if you're taking a child to a therapist and they're like, your son comes to you and says, I'm a female, I'm a trans female. Like you have to be real careful about how the therapy goes from there. Because it can go one way or the other.
Somebody might go straight from the book and be
they go
so
straight
you
from
have
the
to
book.
really watch your therapist then.
Right. I mean, that's my point. So how do you feel? Have you ever gone to therapy? Have you ever talked to anybody? Because I think that's, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword for people.
But now,
I've to be honest, I was actually thinking about it, but not for gender dysphoria. I've never spoken to. Well, no, I was younger. I did speak to therapists, but it wasn't about that. I was really bad. And I had to.
It's all right.
They said, "Oh no, your child has ADD. Let's get them on Ritalin, and dose me up."
Yeah.
But I've thought about going to see a therapist as far as mental health, because I think we all go through things, and I've had traumatic experiences that have happened to me in my life that I feel like trigger me sometimes, but because I don't consciously think about it, it's subconscious, and so I don't realize that because this happened to me, this is the reason why I am right now.
Right. And that's what I was going to say, and I think that's why I asked that question, is because I feel like trans people, trans women, trans men, I don't know if they would have a problem going to therapy because of that stigmatism. Just with the whole stigma that comes with therapy, that we actually have a diagnosis to say that there's something wrong with you just because you're trans. So like you could come for like you said, it could be like a depression thing. Like I've been feeling bad today. They'd be like, and depending on your therapist, they find out you're trans, they're like, that's the cause of your depression. And then now all of a sudden your therapist is going a whole different direction.
Right. Because
this is a diagnosis. Gender dysphoria is a diagnosis. But that's not what you came to the therapist for. And I think that people, like trans people, I always say everybody needs therapy. Everybody could see a therapist. But I don't want anybody to ever feel like they can't see a therapist. So I guess my point with that is that with trans people, I think that it takes even more concern in what therapist you pick out.
That makes sense. And I think now that times have evolved, the community knows where to go to. Like I know I need to go to here because I know these people over here are homophobic, or they're not knowledgeable about the community, and they're just gonna diagnose me with whatever and send it on my way. And there was a time where, like you stated, they did diagnose you with gender dysphoria, and it was considered a mental illness. And the girls were taking advantage of it because they got a paycheck for it.
Right.
And so I guess once the money got involved, they thought of things around like maybe this is not a mental illness. We can't pay everybody who has this, and because some girls were taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
As well, I know that may have been an aspect of it.
I was gonna say that's definitely an aspect, because I also work in special education, and like if you have special education, you have kids with ADHD, you get a check for that too. So a lot of people use that.
The
parents. The parents get a check.
I mean, how you come?
Yeah. You got excited.
Let me get a key right quick.
That's why my mom. No.
But if you in SPED, if you in 504, like you get SSI checks and things like that. If your kid is, has a mental illness or has a.
Some bad parents. I'm just letting you know that.
Oh no! Like I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day that they were a teacher. And they said that one of the parents got mad at them because they had a meeting, because you have meetings with these kids that have these disabilities. And in the meeting, they all came together and said, okay, this kid is not really ADHD. Like, this kid is good. Like, they don't need to be diagnosed ADHD anymore. And everybody's like, okay, cool. They did it. They finalized it, everything. mother came back up to the school like a month later, pissed off.
Trying to stop her check.
They cut off her check.
I'll be mad too.
Yeah, they cut off her check because the child not ADHD. So, but the kid had done well. Like he had gone from like a D student to like a B or A student, and so like he had, he really wasn't. Yeah, he was nothing wrong. But she wanted that check.
But the sad part is that those very powerful drugs that they give you while you're young, I feel like they affect you while you're an adult, especially if you're on them for a long period of time.
Because like with anything, you become dependent on certain things.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, drugs are not. I'm not an advocate for drugs. I know that some kids need them because they're like just that hyper. But it's I don't think it's necessary for everybody.
Some adults need them. I might need it sometimes.
Some adults do.
Yeah, I'll be like,
you probably do.
I'm good today. I'm tired. They're working out. I'm trying to
you
get
gotta
back.
work out and get your hyperactivity down. Do you have any more questions, Marsh? That was the end of my question.
No, I think I might go to the Woosah list. Actually, got something.
Ash, you got something before we?
I work in insurance.
Okay.
Dang. And like I have like in insurance, they'll tell you what they don't cover if you're trans. And my patients will never let me know what they are, and it comes back to me if it is. Like, how do y'all handle that? Like,
what exactly do you mean? They don't ever let you know what they are.
They won't say that they're trans. They won't say anything, and then by the time they get scanned for an MRI, they'll be like, Miss Valerie so and so is transgender, and the insurance is not gonna pay for it. So you owe all this money now.
Okay, so first they don't want to be discriminated against.
Right.
Second, there are trans men who so there are cis men who grow boobs, and I forgot what it's called. That happens. It's some hormone imbalance. And so insurance will pay because
they'll pay for they will.
They'll pay for the gynecomastia. I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
But if you're a trans man and you're stealth and people don't know you're trans, then you can get the insurance and get them to pay for it. And so it's like, okay, why would I tell you I'm trans when you're going to discriminate me and say I have to pay for this surgery that's gender affirming and that's going to help me with my well-being? I'm just going to say that I'm cis, but why do you have to know? And it does depend on what you're doing too.
But the insurance would it'll say it at the bottom. I need to ask, and I know she called me back and was trying to explain to me like, I didn't pay anything. I was like, your insurance didn't pay for that. It's not nothing like.
That's nothing you can do.
That's fucked up because it's kind of like, but how they'll word it is be like say if it's a regular man, whatever, say has breast, they'd be like, okay, well, that's a medical condition that we're trying to resolve. Basically. Versus, like you say, a trans man coming in, they'd be like, oh, it's cosmetic.
Yes, cosmetic.
We're not gonna cover it.
Yeah. And that's crazy how men can get their boobs removed, but if a woman wants their breasts done or they want them to be bigger, it's cosmetic.
You don't need that. You don't need
this doesn't affect you.
I'm surprised y'all don't go
because there are some women who don't have no breast tissue. They're just
or you might have had like breast cancer. Well,
that's too.
They cover
that.
I was gonna say because like it doesn't really affect your day if like the men that have to get those breast reductions, like it doesn't affect the day. It's still cosmetic for them because it's just an outward appearance. So like if that's covered, then all things that have to deal with your daily walk, like your cosmetic,
something that needed to be done.
Right.
And we still need to know, but it still won't.
So it was like a procedure that didn't.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with.
It didn't have anything to do with gender affirming surgery. Oh my God, that's shady.
Yeah,
that is so shady.
I don't want to yell out which insurance it is. I'll tell you later, but no.
No, but
well, suggest Blue Cross.
Right. Okay, you're right. They work. Yeah. But that one, I don't.
I was gonna say, but that's how insurance companies are. They always look for someone to not pay.
I was like, they don't pay.
So they'll use the fact that it's a trans woman. I just won't pay.
And that's sad because what that tells people of trans experience that you're not important.
Yeah.
Whatever you got going on, we're not gonna cover it. Figure out what you got to do, especially with the president that we have now.
But the VA, they don't play that. We had a whole when I did work there. They don't play. We do not. We need to call them by the correct name. You need to call people, and I like that. But unfortunately, in our system, you might have not updated it, and when I do call you the wrong name, we'll probably go get cussed out. Well, that sounds about right. I'm like, okay, hey, girl.
You just gotta let them know it's not updated in my system. It's not in my system.
But they do not play. They'll cover it.
on the VA coach.
But you're right, our president.
But that's a big step because VA is Veteran Affairs, right? So like
they don't, like we went to class for everything. You got to watch everything you say, everything.
Right. I mean, but that's a big step for like the military type people to really.
But I think Obama did that.
Okay.
But this president,
no, the president now
rolled back.
He rolled that back. Yeah.
No.
Like, Obama did start the like where you could allow trans people to come into the military. Like at first it wasn't allowed, and then like. I think Trump said something about trying to take that away.
I can see him doing that shit.
Yeah. He also allowed certain insurance to pay for like gender affirming surgeries as well.
Yeah.
And he took that back as well.
I'm saying.
I know I can't get my same birth control on my insurance.
Yeah.
Found it out there yesterday.
Yeah, no, they don't come birth control like
that. But they will come Viagra.
Viagra.
I went off. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all so worried about that shit. I need to make sure ain't no kids.
I will say that one thing I'm getting out of this is I'm learning new words.
I know.
Gender affirming.
I'm probably gonna have to read a book. I heard I'm about to read.
You said stealth earlier. What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry. So stealth means so I could be considered stealth. Somebody who it doesn't tell you that they're trans and they live their life how they as the gender that they affirm themselves to be, and they don't tell anyone.
Okay.
They're called stealth.
Okay.
Like they don't tell anybody.
Okay. And you can't, and there's like no way to tell. It's just.
Well, like you say, just because outward appearance, that's what you see.
Yeah,
like
outwardly, that's what you see.
You don't ever see it.
Or you see a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would never know. And I understand that. That's interesting. So anybody got any more questions before we move on?
No.
I mean, because we got a little bit more to talk about, so we're going to move right into the woo side.
Like me, do you have any questions?
Oh, do you have any questions? Yeah.
Do you guys know anybody that's trans?
I don't.
Besides me.
You're my first.
No, I have.
Oh, never mind. I have a story. No, I have a story.
Okay, like I said, because I have a family member.
Oh, you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So, what the hell?
Okay.
Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana.
Yeah, so, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? They went, and it, like I say, you know what I'm saying, unfortunate whatever, he passed.
Oh.
So he was a trans man.
No, he was born a man. And,
I'm sorry. You were using the different pronouns. So I was like,
okay, I'm really gonna mess up with that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, like I say, living his life, whatever, as that.
She is living her life?
Yeah. Living life as that. You know what I'm saying? That it's transgender. Okay. But it kind of goes full circle to all the different issues, whatever, because towards the end or whatever, like talking to family, whatever, like got to the church. She got to the church, whatever, and kind of tried to be identified back to male status, whatever.
Really?
And really got holy.
So they detransitioned.
Yeah. Because of how, like I said, the family and stuff like that.
Catholic?
More like that.
Because that's more Louisiana, right?
Yeah. We grew up Catholic, and I just know they don't play like that.
Yeah, like I say, to talk about family, whatever, they're like, yeah, you heard about this, right? And so I'm like, what you talking about?
My family is Catholic, really, like, they strict. They love me today, I'm too much right now. I don't feel like family.
But I was gonna say,
so I've experienced it.
Yeah, I was saying my experience with it is a little different. So when I was growing up, I used to go to my mom used to drop us off in the hood, this lady house. They used to take care of us, and so like this is when I was like 2-3 years old. My sister is a couple years older than me, so we were like really young before school age. So we used to go to this lady's house. Her name was, I don't want to say that, but she passed. So this is her son. Her son used to live with her, right? So Mr. Carl is what she used to tell us to call him. Mr. Carl was living in the house. And so we'd always get up and she'd always make oatmeal in the morning. So we'd have to sit in her dining room and eat oatmeal, and Mr. Carl would come out the back and he would have on like this pink robe every morning. And so like Mr. Carl would come out and I'd be like, and she'd make us say hi and say, hey, Mr. Carl, hey, Mr. Carl. And so he'd be like, okay. And he would just go on about his day. And so like then, so like for the longest, I've always known Mama Hall, her name's Mama Hall. Mama Hall's son was Mr. Carl. So I was like, okay, Mr. Carl, blah, blah. So my mom now, as I got older, like I said, that was when I was really young. And then I got into school and I never talked to her anymore. I think she had passed a few years ago, and that was the first time I'd heard from her in a while. And so like my mom gets her hair done now. And she kept talking about this lady, Tanae, that does her hair. And I was like, she's like, you know Tanae? And I was like, no, I don't know Tanae. She's like, no, you know Tanae. She's like, Mama Hall. And I was like, the one that used to live with Mama Hall? Yeah, tonight. She does my hair. And I was like, Mr. Carl? And so, but now, like, I've seen it, and she does really good hair, too. Like, my mom loves her. So, yeah, that was my experience.
The best I ever had were men.
Yeah, no, but Tanae transitioned, and, like, so now, it took me a long time to get to the point where I could call Tanae her and stop calling Mr. Carl.
Which is interesting, because I see that kind of conflict with you guys. Well, not with you, but... not with just you guys, but just a lot of people in general. Yeah. Like, if you know the person before they transition, it's hard for you to cross over
to see this new person. You kind of okay, like I'm so used to this one side, and you see the new side, you kind of like, I get used to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took me years to get to that point, to where I was like, Tanae is she, Tanae. Now I got a hair done by Tanae, and I was like, I would always say, you went to his shop. And he's like, Tanae. And I was like, oh, okay, her shop. You know, it took me a long time to get to that point.
Oh. I always say that, like, when people transition, your family is transitioning as well.
Mm-hmm. It's hard. And it is really hard because, and like I said, he wasn't even family, but, I mean, she wasn't even family, but it was like, I know, I had gone to Mama Hall's house for, like, years. It was like 3-4 years before, like, even when I was in kindergarten, like, after we get out, because my mom wouldn't get out till later, and the school was down the street from where she lived, so I would go to her house when I was in, like, kindergarten and in first grade and all that. So, like, I would go to Mama Hall's house until I was, like, 6. So it was, like, 3-4 years that I was in there, and as I knew then, her son, Mr. Carl, would be there the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I had known Mr. Carl for all those years growing up, and then, like, I didn't really hear from him anymore. So whenever we discussed it or, you know, reminisced about it, it was like, you know, we went to Mama Hall's house and Mr. Carl was there, and so we talked about it like that. So when it finally came up that, you know, Tanae is doing great hair at her salon and blah, 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 I'm like, Tanae, that's Mr. Carl. Like, I've always known Mr. Carl.
So you got to unlearn it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of unlearning to get to that point. Yeah. So it's hard.
Like I say, because you build a rapport with Mr. Carl.
Right.
So you have to build this new rapport
with Tanae.
Yeah, with Tanae. It's not like this.
And the pronoun thing throws me off, too. I guess that's one of the other questions before we get out of this. One of the other questions I have, because, like, I know people, and it's hard for me to stick to pronouns. Because, like, when you deal with people that are transsexual or, what's the other word, like pansexual, there's different words for things. Mm-hmm. And, like, so some people don't, like you said earlier, non-binary people.
They don't identify with certain things.
They don't identify with either male or female.
Just they.
Mm-hmm. So that's how you would have a conversation with them. You would say, oh, they, them, or theirs. Yeah. And that's how you would address them. And that's even though they present masculine or female, feminine.
Yeah, because that non-binary thing is what really throws me off. Because, like, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I understand transgender. I can do she's she, he is he. Like, and I can, even people that I've known in the past that have transitioned, I'm like, okay, I can do that. But it's like, then it's like, okay, well, also there are people that don't identify as either one, so you got to call them they. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow,
I've
that's
never heard of that. That's different.
It's a lot of people that are like that.
Yeah.
But I think that, like I said, the world is evolving. Yeah. So a lot of people that didn't have the limelight, they're like, oh, okay, we're here too.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So everybody's being forced to acknowledge these type of people.
And you know what? And I can't get off the topic now. Okay, so this leads me to another question. Mm-hmm. So one of the other things that comes up a lot is, you know, they have this agenda. Right? It's like, oh, this is a gay agenda. You know, everybody's trying to put all this trans and gay things into the environment. How do you feel about it? Because I know, okay, I'll give you my personal stance. Mm-hmm. I think that, you know, being in therapy, mm-hmm. I think that it's a good thing that, you know, there's so much, like we talked about before, the trans renaissance, you have LeVon Cox, you have everybody out there where you can actually see people that are different. Mm-hmm. I think that it's beneficial because I think a lot of people are depressed and have a lot of anxiety issues because they don't feel like they can be themselves.
And that's why a lot of people shame a lot of people. A lot of people who can be themselves get angry and mm-hmm. upset, like, oh, this person is able to be themselves, we're going to shame them, even though I identify with them. Yeah. I actually want to do this, but you know, I share a form of peer-phobia.
Right.
And the way I feel about it, I do feel like there is an agenda. There is an agenda to make people realize that I'm here. Okay. What's wrong with that agenda? There's a black agenda.
Right.
I'm here to let you know that I'm black, I'm proud, and nothing is going to stop me from whatever I want to accomplish in life, no matter what racism you throw my way. And I'm feminine, so I'm able to do anything anybody else can do. I can get this high paying job. I just because I'm female, I can do this, I can do that. So I think that that, like I said earlier, the world is evolving.
I agree, and I like that, and I like the fact that, you know, and like I said, I've come a long way. I've come a long way. I'm telling you.
So you used to be homophobic?
Yes.
Okay, you tell us.
To be honest, yeah.
I'm not been like I said. Okay, so for one thing, my daddy was a preacher, so I grew up in church. Like homosexual was completely wrong. And like I said before, that's why I brought up the whole church thing, because I'm like, in the church, homosexuality, they act like that's the worst sin in the world, like almost on the same level as murder. Like it's on that level. And so like I grew up in that church.
Sin has most weight? Like how
you're
is
not
that?
supposed to, and that's what I learned also. And so like I appreciate my parents for kind of, you know, steering me away from the whole church aspect, but that I did learn a lot from the church from that. So I had that. I had friends in school, you know, and I'm black. Black people are homophobic as hell.
Yes.
And I played sports my whole life. Athletes are homophobic as hell. And so like I had like at least 3 factors contributing to my thought process. I had growing up in the church because I'm a PK. I had, you know, being black because black people don't like they have homophobic. And then I have athletes that are very homophobic. So my mindset up until like coming out of college, I was like I said, like meeting Chanel.
Oh, okay.
Like that was a big step for me. Cause I was like, oh, this is gay. Like, that shit gay.
But that's Chanel.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
She got all the baddies, the models around.
Right.
And that's when you know, that kind of made me more.
I want to be cool with Chanel.
Right.
And it made me more accepting of it. And like we were talking about earlier, like with peer-o-phobia, I had to get to a point in my life where I'm like, I don't give a fuck what nobody else thinks. Like I know that I'm not gay. So like whatever goes on from there, you have to be secure enough.
Insecure. They have
That's
all
exactly
the majority is people insecure.
You know what? I was watching Seinfeld one day, and he had a bit where he talked about. He's a good comedian. Great show. You just like Friends. You gotta appreciate white comedy.
I like Seinfeld. That's gonna put me to sleep.
With the small afro.
Yeah, he's Jewish. You know, he's Jewish.
Then he has like the friend with the glasses.
Yeah. But no, okay, so Seinfeld had a joke on there one time that he was talking about. He said he knows why men are so homophobic. And this is like back in, you know, the early 90s. So he's like, one of the reasons why men are so homophobic is because they have bad sales resistance. So men know that if you approach them with something, chances are they're going to buy. So men go into a car lot and they be like, hey, you know, have you seen this car? And like, oh no, I'm not really looking for nothing. You know, it's nice though. You know, look at it. You know, drive it around a little bit. Just give it a test drive. And then like after a while, man will be like, you know what? I do kind of want this car. You know, I will go ahead and buy it. Blah blah blah. So they scared. They said that he said that men are scared that. Oh shit, my shit froze. Did I stop?
Can you talk too much? You hitting shit.
Yeah, this shit froze, Fred.
Oh hell.
It may have closed. No, it didn't.
No.
No, it didn't. I'm good. Never mind. I'm tripping.
Continue.
So anyway, what I was saying is,
come on, so we had the video part of it still too, so I can do like that.
All right. So anyway, so he was saying that like men have bad sales resistance. So like they're afraid that like if a gay man approaches them, and they're like, you know, you sure you don't like gay men? You know, do you want to try that? You want to hold a hand real quick? Just hold his hand, walk around, see how you feel. And he's like, he's like, eventually you're gonna be like, you know what?
This ain't
I
that
don't
bad.
know, you know, this ain't bad. You know, I might kind of like this. And so men are scared that that's going to happen to them.
I think men be thinking all gay men want them.
Right.
And all trans women want them. I had to tell so many men.
No, we don't want your ass over here.
You're not my type.
Right.
You have no reason to feel any type of way right now. Definitely. We could just be cool.
Well,
yeah.
maybe
Like,
but I think that's what
everybody don't want you. They don't want you.
I have a preference too.
Right.
So you say I want standards.
Thank you.
I don't have a specific type.
Yeah. So I mean, I think men are just scared of it. Like one day somebody's gonna just turn me out, and I'm not gonna be able to resist.
But like you say, so everybody's starting to adapt and find instead of making jokes of people being gay, being trans, people starting to make more jokes of being more accepting.
Right.
Like I said, one dude on Twitter, he posted, he was like, because it was like some kind of conversation going on the timeline, and the dude was like, yeah, this gay dude told me I was fine or attractive. And he was like, I just thought to myself, Is this what bad bitches feel like?
Yeah. I had a gay dude tell me that like he liked what I was wearing.
Like? Well, okay, how did you take
it? We had a couple like real flamboyant gay people. Like it was a white gay man. He's a librarian at school.
Oh, okay.
And he's like real flamboyant. He dresses real nice all the time and everything. And so like he told me one time, he's like, I really like the way you put that together. And I was like, at first I was like, I feel some type of way. But then I was like, well, damn, if he thinks I dress nice, then
it must be nice.
I'm confident. You probably walked out with your head high. Like, yeah, look at me.
Yeah, he told me I like the way I dress. I feel kind of good about myself now. So, I mean, it's just getting to that point to where like you're secure enough in yourself to where like you don't have to be like you don't have to hate anybody for what they're doing because it makes you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And people being uncomfortable, it's really you uncomfortable because you're not secure. Like,
and you probably hate yourself.
You hate yourself. That's a big one.
Stop hating yourself.
Yeah.
I was talking about
you talking to yourself. All right, so I'm gonna move right along to the Woosah segment because we're gonna try to round this thing out. Okay, so for the Woosah segment, did I write this up? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, we're gonna talk about validation. Okay, so one of the big things that came up this week was so Future had from what I hear he shut the club down. I don't know if he shut the club down or not. But whatever it was, he was in this club in Miami.
There was too many people?
No, like he bought it out. Like he sounded like a private party.
Yeah, okay.
I heard one story said it was a private party. One story said he was just there at a party in Miami. But anyway, he was in a club in Miami. Supposedly, like big girls weren't getting let in. They told no fatties in the club or whatever.
What's big?
Because some people be like, oh, she did get
right. That's it.
See,
what's big?
I need to know.
My thing is, I like big girls, so I wouldn't go to a club that didn't allow big girls in.
You would be like, I
wouldn't go to a club that's saying a certain type of person couldn't come out. You're like, oh, okay, well, we're not going
here. Outside talking about they won't let me in. So, shit, where you going?
Yeah, I'm trying to go where you going. They won't let you in. I'm trying to go where you going. But so anyway, so the girl that the lady that actually was involved in it was like she's big on social media. Her name is Nao. I think it's like NAO_ on
something like that.
Instagram, something like that. But she's a very pretty girl. She's models for like Fashion Nova Curve. She does like a lot of shit. Like she's real known. Yeah, she's a beautiful girl. And so like what ended up happening was like she made a whole Instagram story about it, and that's how it got out. She made an Instagram story, basically it from the sound of the video, she almost sounded like she was about to start crying, and like her voice was kind of cracking and things like that, and it just kind of brought up this whole idea that like she has a lot of followers, she has a lot of like validation, like she has a lot of people telling her how great she is, how beautiful she is, but then sometimes like depression and things can still sneak through all of that. Sneak through however confident somebody seems. It's like you can't really justify that with just that little bit of validation. I think Wash was talking about one of the other guys, Meech.
Yeah, Meech. It's
Demetrius Harmon, I think.
Demetrius Harmon.
Demetrius Harmon. So Demetrius Harmon is another like Instagram personality, and he had made a video about depression. Like he had been depressed for a while, and he's always talked about how his depression is what actually drove him to start making Vine videos when he was in high school, and that's what got him famous. And he had like made some videos recently about just how he'd been crying a lot and been real depressed, and he wanted people to reach out and make him feel better. And it's puzzling to people, I guess, from the outside looking in, because it's like
you're validated.
Yeah, you're validated. You have everything that you need.
Like people like you, people love you.
People love you.
Yeah.
They don't even know you.
And I guess it just goes back to the whole idea that like no matter how big you are, no matter how much validation and stuff you get, sometimes
you can still be empty.
You can still be empty. You can still need something. And so I think that people should really concentrate on filling that void with something, like filling that void with yourself. Make sure that you yourself are secure in everything, because we actually just talked about security. So if you're going to be secure in yourself, one of the things that you have to realize is that no matter what's going on the outside, being secure in yourself is what's most important. It doesn't have to do with anybody else. It doesn't have to do with how many followers you have, who liked your picture on Instagram, or who left the hard eye comments, and who jumped in your DMs after you posted it, and all that kind of stuff. Like all of that stuff is fickle, and it's real surface. What's really like what's going on the surface doesn't really affect you as deeply as what you have going on inside yourself. So like And I think validation needs to come. We need to validate ourselves. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, and I think that we should start with the children first, because this last year was like the highest rate of suicide for Black children and for trans children.
Wow.
And so it's, you know, we come to an era where you're validated by how many followers you have. You can make a lot of money from this. And I've worked in the industry where they say, oh, we need this girl for this. Okay, well, you have to have this many followers. You have to look like this. You have to have these type of qualities. And so it makes people think like, okay, so I have to look this certain type of way in order to look this type of way and get these followers up. And when I have them, oh, I'm here. But then I'm still empty because I haven't taken care of my self-care. I'm not valid to myself yet.
Right, exactly.
But for me, like as far as the big girl feeling like, you know, hey, it made her feel some way even though she had followers and she was told she's beautiful all the time. I went through that at one point too. Like I've had a lot of people say, oh, you're attractive, but then when I'm like, oh, I'm trans, all that's taken away.
Right.
And so I had to realize, okay, you are who you are no matter what people say. Nobody can take that feeling of validation away from you. And so when I feel like that you should figure out what it is inside of you that's allowing people to take that away.
Take that away, yeah.
She's a beautiful girl.
Right, that's what I'm
She
saying.
is gorgeous.
Yeah. She's and you know, I love big girls, so like that's fine with me. Like she can be big and be pretty. I like pretty big girls. That's what I like. So like I don't. I guess to me, like Mia was saying, it's just about having that validation within yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because like.
But how do you do that?
I was about to ask.
Where do you start?
I say we've talked about before. I've talked to Ashley about it before. We talk about self-affirmations all the time.
Right.
And people think that and a lot of the things that really help you, people think are corny. Because it's like, I'm not going to wake up every day and say you're beautiful. I'm like, get to myself in the mirror. That's corny. But I mean, like, you'd be surprised how much that really helps.
It does.
To get up and be like, oh my God, you really look attractive today. You know, and write notes to yourself. You know, like I said, all the shit that looks kind of corny, but write it down in your journal. You know, how great of a day you had, or what you like about yourself. Start listing things that are great about you.
Stay away from negative people.
Stay away from negative people.
Watch your circle. Oh my gosh, you can have a wonderful day, and then you're like, oh, my day was awesome, and then you got your homeboy, your homegirl's like, I don't know, this bad energy, this
they gonna tell you about how terrible their day was and how much they hate people, and now you like, well, damn, I guess.
Let me try to cheer you up.
Yeah.
But that don't even help.
Hell no, girl, I ain't trying to hear this shit. I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
So leave that energy over there. Let me know when you're back.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Keep negative energy away from you. Build up yourself. Self-affirmations. Make a list. And I always tell people I like lists because like even if it's like relationship stuff or whatever, making a list of the positive things is always good. Because you can always, if you give yourself like, let's say for a month, one time a week for a month, give yourself 5 affirmations written down. Because when you write stuff down, it's powerful. So write down 5 things about yourself that you like. It could be simple things like, man, I solved a math problem yesterday that I didn't even think I remembered how to do. Like, that could be just something small that happened to you. Like, but it's a positive thing in your life. Now you feel smart as hell, but all you did was a little multiplication problem.
I ain't cuss out nobody at my last work meeting.
I feel a positive affirmation.
That shit gonna be a little different.
Affirmation is not gonna happen.
No, it didn't happen. I was good over there. I was good. I fought through that bullshit. I was tired. I was like, oh.
I had a friend who she writes down positive affirmations on sticky notes in front of her door. So every day she sees them, even though she doesn't look at them, it still resonates with her.
Because you
put them right there.
Because in your mind, like say, even if you don't read them every day, you know they're there. You know the reason why they're there.
I got something to say. Don't forget milk.
No.
Grocery
I got something to say. Don't forget a lot of shit.
I know a girl that has a dry erase board. And she'll change the saying every once in a while. And then, like, you know, if it's a positive saying, like you said, you don't have to know that it's there. You don't have to read it every day, but you glance over and see that, and you're like, you know what? You know, it could just be, you know, you are great. Yeah. That's all that's written on the dry erase board.
Yeah, so you might be having a day, like you say, you're not constantly trying to look at it, but you glance at it, you're like, you know what? I am great.
Yeah.
My brother likes to write stuff when he comes down on there. and he'll leave. Yeah, on my little board in the restroom. I'll be like, God, it was nice.
And if you have a circle, like Mia said, your circle is good. Your circle is going to do that for you, and they're going to help you kind of get you build you up so that you are self validating, but at the same time you have support systems that help you out too. Because if your support system is good, then the outside stuff is going to bother you much. So like, for example, the whole future thing, like I know not just her, the girl that actually happened to, but like a lot of people on social media were like hurt by it. How could you not allow big girls to come out? It became a big thing. So like if you have a lot of more self validation and a good support system, and you know that you're going to get built up outside of that, when things like that happen on the outside, it doesn't affect you as much because you're like I'm
confident who I am.
I'm confident. That happens, and I think men do this a lot more than women do, and I don't think they really be trying to. But like men have, and it's part of our ego and our pride to build up in ourselves. Like I don't give a fuck what nobody else says. I'm good. So like if something like, because that discussion came up with that. Like if you walked up to a club and they were like, oh no, we're not letting short men in here. Like, man, fuck y'all. We're gonna go somewhere else.
I always wondered like y'all don't bother with anything, but I'll be crushed.
But
like I was mad.
But it's because the way that men politic women, like, oh, you gotta have a snatch waist, you gotta have a high booty, you gotta have a pretty face, you don't have to wear makeup. But nobody does that to them.
Right.
No.
So
and I said that. You never heard me say, except I don't like tall men. I feel like y'all gonna hit me, but
but like you said, and I think that women get beat down on it a lot. So like that's why like over time, like as it keeps happening, it's like okay, I'm hurt because it keeps happening.
We gonna open our own.
If it happens for men, like it does happen for men, but it's so rare. It's so rare that it happens in men that we like. But it does happen. We like fuck it. I mean, I'll get in somewhere else. I don't really have a problem.
But
like
women, I would have been hurt.
It's a good chance that, like, especially like, for example, Miami. You in Miami, and this club tells you they're not letting big girls in. It's a chance you can go to another club and they're doing the same discriminatory practices.
Yeah, that's true. I'm telling you, that shit happened to me.
That happened to me too in Miami. I was with a trans girl and we were in line and the club guy was like, oh, y'all are beautiful, and put the little wrist things on there. We were about to go and somebody clocked us, which means somebody knew that one of us was trans, told the promoter, he snatched our wristbands off and touched the lady.
Wow.
Damn, hey, no, they was hating because you look better than them, just let you know.
The funny thing is that a lot of people have...
they feel bad.
But it goes all type of ways.
I would say a lot of people have stories like that from Miami. Like Miami, LA, New York, those clubs, they'll do stuff.
Everybody trying to be like Studio 54 and shit.
Yeah.
Trying to be selective, like we want
that's
the
a good documentary.
Be exclusive.
This is a good movie. This is a good movie.
Yeah, I watched it again. That's a good documentary.
I'm gonna have to look at it. Is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
That was on Netflix, yeah.
I wish I was born back then.
What, Studio 54?
Yes, everything went down.
Everything.
Yeah. I'm not saying I would do the drugs. but I'll be in that day.
That's why they were dancing like that. They
okay, I don't need them drugs for that.
Oh.
I'm ready. Oh.
Get you a little cocaine, you be alright.
A little booger sugar.
No.
Booger sugar. I've never heard of that.
Geeked up and
I'm just saying that now.
Like, what's that on the Disco Daddy?
That's a real person.
Yeah.
I hope she ain't die like that for real.
Yeah, that's
on
54 whatever.
floor.
She used to take like acid and cocaine, whatever.
He used to give Quaaludes out to people.
Yeah, she's like an older lady. And they call her Disco Daddy. She been in my
group. They said she was a lawyer in the daytime, about 80-some years old, at night, in the apartment every night.
On a movie, she OD on stage.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if in the documentary they just showed a picture of her. She looked way older than that lady, though.
Yeah.
She looked bad. I was just saying, she was old.
Drugs do take a toll.
Drugs is a whole different issue.
I hope she ain't died up in there, but you know.
Alright, so anybody got anything else before we get out of here?
I just want to say self-care is the best care.
Definitely.
Like that's like, I feel like that's the beginning where you start.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you feel like you look good,
nobody can tell you shit. Right.
Exactly.
Like they say, Soulja Boy was ahead of his time because "Turn On My Swag" was like a song of affirmation.
Yeah.
That we really at the time we really didn't think about.
Out the bed, turn my swag on.
Yeah, look in the mirror, say what's up.
Look in the mirror, say what's up. Yeah. So no, like Mia said, self-care is a big deal. Because if you can, like, that goes back to our whole boo side about validation, everything. If you are taking care of yourself, if you're validated within yourself, nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything else is good. All right. So before we get out of here, Mia, you want to give all your information?
Yeah, first off, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
I learned so much today.
I love to be in these type of spaces. Yeah, share different stories.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. My name is Mia. My podcast name is Mia Mix. You can find me on Twitter, Mia Mix, and Instagram is Mia Michelle. The Mia Michelle. And the podcast that I have is on iTunes, iCloud, Google Play, and another one. I'm sorry, guys. But it's Marshas Plate, so you can find that on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's named after Marsha P. Johnson. Marsha P. Johnson is a transgender woman who fought in the civil riots, and so she's one of the reasons why gay people have rights. So trans women were the reason why we have rights right now.
Okay. I was gonna ask for Marsha.
I've not. That was on my mind too. Like, why did you name it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome. I think that's. I mean, it goes into like the whole. They had like some Black History argument. We can get out here, but they had a whole Black History argument. But like, I was looking at it.
Sorry.
Oh, about
You get Netflix.
So,
man, I watched that too. I was like, I
but I was gonna
late.
say like, there's a lot of things in history that like people like they pass over because it was trans people, it was Black people, it was Latino. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of American history, civil rights history that is not told.
Yeah, we're Black trans slaves.
Right.
What? You gotta come. I got some more questions.
Yeah.
I just thought it was I was like, hey, I go back.
Yeah,
on.
but like I said, it's
an ongoing discussion.
Yeah, like I said, as long as this is not a one-off, and like I said, hopefully next time, whatever, we have the whole crew.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we want to have everybody on because I think these conversations are so necessary.
Yes,
So
I think we'll be bomb if you have the whole crew because we definitely share a lot of different perspectives, especially the trans man perspective. I don't think that's shown enough light.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't hear about that much at all.
Because there's still a lot of they're just now coming out. Trans women are like, okay, we're here, you're gonna deal with it. But it's something about toxic masculinity that affects them as well because their manhood is taken away from them. So most of them are stealth, but a lot of them are joining the movement and saying, hey, no, we've been here too.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
So you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good, Ashley?
I'm good on questions.
Okay, but say
awesome.
I'm gonna say it again. Thank you to Mia for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And make sure y'all check out Marshas Plate. You know what I'm saying? Go on all the major platforms, check that out. But as always, we hope you laugh a little, learn a lot. We hope we have helped you find a remedy to whatever's troubling you. This is What's the Remedy Podcast.
All right, y'all.
We out.